about all the ways in which spanning is protecting your data? I mean, what features and functionality are you using, and what's the sort of big picture in terms of how it's protecting your Salesforce instance?
Sure. So spanning, so we have hundreds, if not over thousands of fields in Salesforce, and some of those fields are very critical in terms of classifying accounts, contacts, routing records to the right people. And we also subscribe to some data enrichment tools that clean and enrich our data. Sometimes those tools, maybe we didn't configure them properly, or they're just doing a little bit more than what we're asking them to do. And so we've had situations where I know when I first joined the company, we implemented one of those data enrichment tools and overwrote some critical fields. And initially it was a little scary, especially new on the job, kind of coming in and breaking things, not what you want to do. Fortunately, we had spanning, so Stephanie was able to work with the spanning team to kind of walk us through the restoration process, and we were able to be back up and running and restoring that data within an hour or two.
Yeah, and it sounds like spanning already is paying dividends in terms of how it's helped protect the data. Are there other examples of ways in which it's come to the rescue since you've installed it?
Oh yeah, there was another package that we were looking at that didn't work out. So we decided we were going to switch to a different vendor. And this particular package had already been set up when we'd come on board here at Spredfast, so we weren't part of the installation, so we didn't know everything that it was tied to. There were some fields that were tied to it that actually appeared in the standard list for Salesforce and not in the custom pick list. So we uninstalled the package, the contract was over, we're setting up the new package, and we come in, and my admin, Trent, and he's the one that owned the data, like cleaning it and keeping it up to date, came to me, was freaking out. He's like, those fields are gone. When we uninstalled that package, it took all of those fields, all that work he'd done to clean the data, to update it, were gone. And he was freaking out. I mean, he was like, why does it ghost? And I was like, it's okay, we've got spanning. I said, just go back to yesterday and find those fields, create new custom fields, populate the new custom fields with the data. I said, we're good. He's like, he couldn't believe it, but it was kind of, for me, it was a little entertaining. I got to get my entertainment how I can to see him freaking out, and then just being, it's no big deal. We just go back a day and it's there, and it was, and we created the new fields and put it in. But I was shocked that we didn't realize that those fields were tied to that package and we'd already deleted it. Had we not had spanning, had we just relied on the weekly export, we would have lost a week's worth of data, and then going and trying to find it would just been a lot of work. But with spanning, it was easy, like within less than 30 minutes, able to take care of that. He created the new fields and then did the upload to populate the new data.
There was a situation where we lost email addresses, which is very important for email marketing and sales, and just having used spanning previously here, wasn't as worried about it. We were able to retrieve those but also not impact any of the changes to those records, but only restore the email addresses, which was very important.
Yeah.
That does.
I like that. It's okay. We have spanning. Well, I mean, can you quantify in some way, or even just sort of having that peace of mind? I mean, what's that worth to both of you?
Oh, it's huge.
Working with Salesforce.
I mean, the reason I laugh like when Trent was freaking out is I remember that feeling when I found out we didn't have protection like that. Because you're protecting the business's data. That's money and time and work that everybody that you work with has put in. I mean, with our customers, you don't see them all the time when you're dealing with customers on the phone or online. But for us, our customers we sit next to them. We have to pass them in the hall. So if we don't protect that data, I mean, we've got to deal with it in person. So there's that added level of stress and pressure that if we're not protecting it, we have to answer to them in person. It's not like you can call that in. So it's a huge relief just not to have to worry about it. Like, I'm at that point where data is not a big deal for me. I don't have to worry about it. That is one less thing I don't have to think about. It's nothing. For me, so it's huge. It's huge because there are a lot of other things I do have to worry about, but that's not one, and that does feel good. Not just forget about it and just go about my day.
So Stephanie, you mentioned to me as we were preparing for this that data loss is often inevitable, but it doesn't have to be a disaster. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Just, back to kind of what we said earlier, it'll happen. It is inevitable. I mean, we're human. We get people working on entering the information, whether it be my team or even our end users. It's not going to go as it's supposed to. Their mistakes are going to be made. But with spanning, like I said, it's no big deal if it happens. We've got them to protect our data. I can go back and look at the information at any given time and pull it back and restore it. And when you've got a big company, we've got almost 300, 400 employees. Somebody's, going to make a mistake. It's just going to happen. But with spanning, we don't have to worry about it. They can fix it. They can take care of the human element that we have to work with every day.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that, data protection, it's kind of like a two-headed monster. You can prevent data loss with permissions and restricting access and field level security. But when you're dealing with 500 plus users, 10 plus integrations, installed packages, there's no way to get 100% coverage on preventing the wrong tool or person from editing something in Salesforce, especially when you're dealing with millions of records. So the second part of that is having a recovery solution so that if something does happen and it slips through your prevention efforts, you have a way to recover that data. And I like to think of our data as intellectual property, whether that's contact information for our customers or prospects or development work that we've done.
So more personal level, the partnership that has developed with Spanning, you've been working with them for a long time, you've been familiar with them for a long time. How has that evolved, and how would you describe just the relationship that you have with the company and the people at the company?
It's been a great evolution, one that I didn't see way back when. For me, they were a product that solved a problem. I did love that they were local. Austin, we're all about local and trying to grow our community and give back to the community so that it stays here in Austin. So that was a big plus for me at the time. But it's grown to so much more than that. I'm very involved in the community. Back in 2014, I started our first Women in Tech user group, and then in 2015, I started Salesforce Saturday. And we need space for that, and if we want to have a big event, Spanning was one of the first people to raise their hand and said, "Hey, you can use our amazing downtown space to hold your events here." And they would even buy breakfast tacos and coffee and mimosas, and then without asking for anything in return. I mean, they knew they had me as a customer. I'd already done a customer story. I'm drinking the Spanning Kool-Aid. They didn't have to do anything more, but they got very involved with our user community. And for me, that means a lot that they're a vendor and a company that's not just taking from the community, they're giving back, and they're engaging with their community, and they're being a part of the community. For me, it was very genuine and authentic, and they've continued now. I co-founded Pep Up Tech, which is a nonprofit that helps minorities get jobs in tech, and they're doing it again. They did their survey, and the funds are going to Pep Up Tech. So they promote us. So they're continuing to engage with us and support the community, which for me, as somebody who's out there in the community and doing this stuff on the side, that's huge and makes my life a little easier in that sense. And again, they didn't have to do that. They know I'm all about Spanning, and because they've saved me on a professional level so much, I felt more indebted to them, and for them to step up and say, "Hey, we want to help with this and be a part of this and help you, make the world a better place in any way that we can." They didn't have to do that. So for me, that's huge for me.
Yeah, I love that. Obviously, as somebody that works at Salesforce, with giving back and philanthropy such a big part of us, to hear that one of our partners in the Ohana is doing that sort of thing in the community is really special. So what does the future look like in the relationship with Spredfast and Spanning? Are there features that you've spoken to about that's coming down that you are interested in using that may help you going forward?
One feature that has currently come down the pipe that we're really excited about is sandbox seeding. So it can take and push our live, fresh production data into any of our development sandbox, even our personal ones. We all have our personal sandbox that we set up and then we play around and test with, but I rarely ever go and populate it with data because it's so manual. With this now, it'll do it for us, so we're really excited. I'll be able to go in there and play with production data and not have to share it with anybody else. So that's something I'm personally really excited about.
An upcoming feature that I'm looking forward to is the unified dashboards. So currently, whenever we're doing any custom development work on our sandboxes and we have to do a refresh, now we either have to push that data into production as a holding area and then migrate it back to the sandbox, or do an export before we do our refresh and back up that data ahead of time. With this new feature, the unified dashboards, we don't need to do an export before a refresh. The data will be sitting there in the Spanning UI, available for us to restore if the event occurs where we accidentally wipe out any of our development data.